Tony Marnella with Marnella Homes, and I'm here in one of our new, recently finished luxury townhomes. And one of the super cool features that we've introduced in these townhomes is these amazing European windows. And Andy has graciously offered his time to come tell us a little bit more about them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Andy, I work with Pivot Windows. We're an importer of European windows for the Oregon and Washington market, also in pretty much the Western US. What Tony has here is a triple glazed tilt-turn window. Tilt-turn windows are a little bit different product than we're used to in the domestic market. Very common in Europe, and they have some really distinct advantages. One of them is that they have 3 gaskets that seal the outside from coming into the inside. And in this scenario, one of the biggest differences that makes is in sound transmission. So when I open this window, you can hear the ambient noise on the outside, right? It's a beautiful view, river, freeway, there's an airport across the way, and all of that sound gets blocked out when you close the window. You'll notice when I opened that window that it opens to the interior. And some people think, that's kind of weird, it'd be a problem. But here we're actually almost 4 stories off of the ground. So washing this window would be a trick unless it comes inside and you're then able to wash it entirely from the interior of the room. The other thing that's nice about tilt-turn windows in our environment is that they really have 2 modes of operation. The first is that turn mode, and the second is a tilt. So when I tilt the window in, it provides ventilation, it's open to the exterior, but it also keeps any rain that hits the window shedding and going out of the building. So it's safe to leave this open year-round, right? And really get that ventilation that you want, but it also keeps all of the weather on the outside.
That's awesome. And that's probably one of the cool aspects that I especially here we are in the wintertime with the rain we've had in the last few weeks, and you could leave that open, get fresh air, and not even be concerned about it.
Absolutely, yeah. In spring, it's right now it's sunny. In 10 minutes, it could be raining, and you can leave your window open. Yeah, either way. Yeah.
And I think the other impressive thing about this window is obviously it's substantial, it's heavy, but your ease of opening and closing it was really noticeable.
Yeah, and the other thing that's really impressive about these is when you open them, if you look along the edge here, you can see that there's multi-point locks all the way up. So that when we close this, it's actually pulling those gaskets tight everywhere, but they're all adjustable, right? So if we need to adjust this window every which way, all the hinges, all the latch points, super adjustable to really get that tight finish, but ease of operation that we're after.
Yeah. And now you had referenced when we were talking about the lift and slide, the benefits of the triple glaze and the construction of the window here in a bedroom where comfort would be very important on a super cold day or super hot day. The inside of the glass is staying much closer to the interior temperature.
So when you have a triple glazed window, you really have 3 layers of glass that are then separated by argon filled chambers. And so if this is the outside of the window and this is the inside, you have these 3 layers, and these chambers filled with argon really make a huge difference in the thermal transmission of the temperature from interior to exterior or vice versa. So on a cold day, we'll have a freezing window out here, and the inside surface temperature is still going to be in the 60s, and that's what's really important. So ASHRAE is the standard for all your HVAC equipment in the US, and they actually have a standard that says in order for you to be comfortable, you need to be within about 7.5 degrees. Every surface in the room needs to be within 7.5 degrees of your ambient temperature. And windows, historically, have been terrible at that, right? We're usually 15, 20 degrees on a really cold day in a double pane window. And so what the triple glazing that we offer does is it brings that temperature to within spec, essentially, for thermal comfort. And so there's lots of things that had to go into that, right? It's the gasketing, it is the beefier frame to carry the weight of that window. And then there's actually a lot of technology in how we make the glass. So the spacers that are used at the edge of the glass really make a huge difference on the window's performance as well.
Awesome. Yeah. And you had used a statistic earlier that about 30%, was it, of the interior energy is lost through the glass on a domestic window?
So if you look at that's a report by EMU, if you want to look at it. They're an energy modeler out of Denver. And what they did is they modeled a bunch of different homes. I think it was 50 different homes all over the country. And they analyzed the kind of performance of the home, and they figured out where is energy being lost, right? And consistently, it's always out the windows. And it's by far the largest energy loss in your home is the heat loss out of the window. And so that is, I believe it's in the 30% range, 35%. And so what these do, the thermal performance of these windows is half of what the code requirement is, which is good. When you think half, it's bad. No, that's a really good thing. So they're twice as efficient as a domestic window, and that means that you're gonna have half the heat loss.
That's awesome. And the other element that you had referred to was the glass that we get from Europe is significantly better than what we get here.
Yeah, so you can source the same glass, it's just not standard, right? Gotcha. So what's different about the glass is that it has a low iron content. So iron is what causes, if you look at the edge of a broken piece of glass or the edge of a mirror and you see green, that's because of an iron content in the glass. In Europe, all glass has a much lower iron content than the domestic glass that we use here. There are options, like if we had breakage here, we can source these locally and get a replacement made that's going to match same hue.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, so you don't need to worry about that. But it's a standard on all of our windows to use that high performance European glass. Super clear.
Yeah. Great. Well, as you can tell, there's a lot of super cool things about these windows that are not only from an energy performance standpoint, but for the comfort of our homeowners. And Andy, thank you very much for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.